Welcome to On Fire, the only official Survivor podcast. I'm Jeff Probst, the host and showrunner of Survivor. Each week, I'm joined by Jay Wolf, Survivor fan and the executive producer of this podcast. Hello, Jay.
What's up, Jeff?
We're also joined by former Survivor player. He's a three-time Survivor great, Jeremy Collins. Hello, Jeremy.
What's up, fellas?
Each week, we dissect the big moments of the most recent episode of Survivor, and we bring you insights from three different points of view. That's what makes this podcast unique: the fan, the player, and the producer. All right, Jay, let's get into it. The big moments, episode 4 from Survivor 49. What stood out?
Well, it's a numbers game. It's 18 players. It's 26 days. It's one Survivor. The math is critical. And now, with the medevac of Jake last episode, the numbers have changed. So I want to start with the moment where you explain that to us, Jeff.
But you know where else numbers are really interesting?
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Is when it comes to a tribe switch.
Please.
Let me give you a little insight into the game design of Survivor 49. A tribe switch is on the board at 14 players. We just got here a little earlier due to Jake's unfortunate evacuation, but we're at 14 players. We're switching tribes. Everybody, drop your buffs.
So good. So good.
Wow. I got to say, I loved hearing that moment again. It's fun.
Yeah, man. It's great. It's chill. So walk me through the process a little bit. What is the board that you're talking about, and how does it work?
The board is literally a whiteboard in my office, but the board is more, just imagine it's our version of the cloud where all of our ideas for Survivor 49 live. And this is the schedule so that everybody in every department knows what we're doing on day 1, day 2, day 16, day 26. So you just said numbers. That's Survivor. In terms of a structure, it's based on math. It starts with how many players are you going to start with? In this case, 18. Okay, then how are you going to divide the tribes? 3 of 6, 2 of 9. Okay, you'll have uneven men and women if that's what you want. Obviously, we did 20 a lot with Jeremy where you have 2 tribes of 10. You could have also done 4 tribes of 5 and really made it scary.
Interesting.
So just sticking with 49, we start with 18 players, 3 tribes of 6. We always planned to switch to 2 tribes of 7 when we got to 14 players. But because we lost 2 players in one episode, we had Jake evacuated and then we had a tribal council, we ended up getting to 14 players an entire episode early. But that's okay because we already had the challenge for the 2 tribes of 7 built. We'd already tested it in rehearsals. We were ready to go. So what ended up happening is that the challenge that was built for 3 tribes and 15 players never happened because Jake was evacuated. So instead, we just jumped to the next challenge that was on the grid, a 2-lane challenge that, as you can guess, took months to design and several weeks to build. And fortunately, our team is so good that we're always ready for something like that.
I just have to ask on behalf of a lot of fans on Reddit, Jeff, when it comes to a switch, is it always pre-planned?
99% of the time. The only time it wouldn't be pre-planned is if something really unexpected happened, like a tribe got down to 1 player, perhaps. Or maybe you had multiple players leave for some reason in the same episode unexpectedly. Then we might have to look at the grid.
Jeremy, did you get any old school Survivor vibes when you saw 2 tribes of 7?
No, that's not old school, man. Old school is 10. Give me 10. There's like 1 million people out there on the island, and it's just 2 tribes of 10. That's old school, man.
Lots of places to hide, as Jeff would say.
Yeah,
Jeff,
that's right.
Is there a reason we're seeing these 2 tribes of 7 as opposed to staying with 3 tribes?
Yeah, just keeping things unexpected. Jeremy says this all the time. Players are constantly trying to figure out what's their next move? Their meaning the producers. That's what you should be doing because we are an element of the game. So the smart player is not only looking at his competitor and thinking, if they were smart right now, they might try to get rid of me. So maybe I have to make a move. They're also looking at us and thinking, what have they done the last 4 seasons? What haven't they done? What might they do? Is there a loved one visit? Could we be looking at some Exile Island situation? That's the smart player.
Yeah. Look for Easter eggs everywhere, as Jeremy said. I believe it was in episode 1, maybe even in this podcast. All right, let's talk about day 7. It's ostensibly pretty early in the game, a quarter of the way through, as you say, Jeff. But as we'll see throughout this episode, this is coming down to a game of old tribes. It's old Uli versus old Hina. Jeremy, the game's wide open. It's 14 players. But the bonds that these original tribal alliances have created seem unshakable at this point. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, the bonds you make at the beginning of the game, it's super special. It's like trauma bonding, you know what I mean? Because it's grueling work at the beginning of the game. You're going out there and you're looking for bamboo. You're looking for firewood. You're making fire. You're getting coconuts. You're building your shelter. Weaving palm fronds. All that stuff is a lot of hard, grueling work. And while you're doing it, you're bonding with each other. And those bonds are hard to break. And it's like you're kind of falling in love with each other out there on the island. This crazy experience that you guys are in, and you guys are going through it together at the beginning, and there's nothing like it. So those bonds are super tough to break.
All right, the last thing here I wanted to bring up is this.
Head out? That's it. What? Oh, this? That's called a survivor fake out.
I was excited.
Oh my God.
Grab your stuff, head out. We were never running a challenge today.
That's fun to hear.
I was excited too, Jeff. What is the purpose of faking them out like this?
Well, one is we like to mix it up. So anything you can do to keep the game uncertain keeps the player uncertain. I will say that a fake challenge and the request from our art department to pull that off is a call I probably would make myself because I know our team. Our team says yes to everything. So this is a situation I remember when I talked to Zach and Simo, who run all of our department, and I say, hey, if we can, and it's not a drain on any resources, and we're not exhausted because we still have Survivor 50 to shoot, if we can set up a simple little fake out, let's do it and have some fun. But you do need to remind your teams in terms of priority, what's mandatory, what would be really great, and what is low level. And this is lower level. If we can't do it, it's okay. But the reason I love it is the playfulness that Survivor now has between the players and us, me, production, is really fun. You heard them laughing that we faked them out. It was just a good-natured twist to make you think, oh my gosh, and now we're going to run in these new tribes. Nope, you're going to go back and trauma bond with your new tribes.
All right, I want to go back in time to before the swap when Sophie and Alex wake up from the beach and the ocean is up to something.
We can't catch a break.
This is such a joke.
My pants are so bad.
This is a joke.
The ocean took my shoe. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. The Keller tribe is cursed. Like, what else can happen? Well, I don't have a shoe now.
It's nice to see that the shoe bandage is still around, even if Jake is back home with his newborn child. Jeff, what happens if you lose a critical article of clothing like a shoe?
I will quote the great Boogie Nights by Paul Thomas Anderson. When they're recording their rock song, but they need the money to get the tapes, and the guy that runs the recording studio says, that's a YP, not an MP. And they say, huh? And he says, your problem, not my problem. That's this situation. Their clothes are their responsibility. So if you lose your shoes due to a shoe bandit like Jake or your own negligence, that's on you. And that's something you have to deal with and figure out.
So she would be walking around barefoot right now?
Yes, except for the fact that they do have two sets of shoes. They have the shoes that they start with, which are typically not your tennis shoe or your adventure shoe. And then they always have one pair of game shoes that you can use for a challenge or running out into the ocean. So if you lose either one of those, then you're stuck with whatever you got left.
Okay.
Wow. Well, the question then, Jeremy, is why would you sleep on the beach with an ocean that has a tide?
So that is a really good question. So we had that issue a bunch of times on my first season and on Second Chance. If you don't have fire, the mosquito's going to be out and the little critters, the mice and the rats are running around. So when you're by the water, the breeze that comes in off the water kind of knocks the bugs away from you. So that helps. And then also, you're not going to see mice and rats running around on the beach. You know what I mean? So like, if you're in the pitch black out in the jungle, you're going to have a lot of more critters around you as opposed to being out on the beach.
You can tell Jeremy's a three-time player because he just kind of casually described all the sounds and critters and rats and mice. He left out snakes that are going through the jungle at any given time. That is a hardcore player. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I offered what I thought was a very nice reward, fresh fruit. Sophie, wasn't thrilled. We'll talk about rewards. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On Fire, the only official Survivor podcast. All right, Jay, next moment.
Okay, let's get to this challenge. I want to talk about these balance beams and these cubes. But before we get to that, Jeff, you introduce a reward, and Sophie, the one with an E, isn't thrilled.
Please God be a banana, Jeff.
Ask and you shall receive.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Wow, you called it. Your first food reward of the season. Sophie, give me some perspective, because I think one thing that gets lost unless you're out here is the appreciation you develop or are reminded of something like a banana.
This is diet food. This is what I eat when I'm trying to lose weight. I wanted to see a carb or a protein because it looks beautiful, but this is snack food. This is not going to give this is not going to give us that extra that we've been dying for.
We're going to be happy.
Sophie, I'm going to just speak for the group.
Yeah.
You took this a very different way than I was taking it.
I love the music, too. The music changed. Everything was beautiful.
Jeremy, that's what I was going to bring up is Michael Dobbins handles all of our music, and editors can make their choices as well, and so can a producer. But if you were to just go listen to that scene without any dialogue, you could almost track, okay, something good's happening. Oh, wait, something not so good just happened. Oh, wait, something silly's happening. It's such a big part of our show, and we do talk about it a lot, but that's a great example that you picked up on as well.
It's so good.
Shout out to the great Michael Dobbins, incredible music supervisor. Okay, Jeff, how do you react to hearing Sophie say something like this?
Yeah, I get it. 100% I get it. I totally know what she's saying. She's not wrong. Everybody would love a pizza right now. But rewards are strategically designed based on where we are in the show. So first you have the tribe stage versus the individual portion. When you're in the tribe stage, it's more necessity-based. Tools or fishing gear or a tarp or a hammock. They seem boring because they're not sexy, but they're helpful when the rain comes or the sun comes or whatever you're having to deal with.
Yes.
And then you might get a little bit of fresh fish, or in this case, a little bit of fresh fruit. Those are the early days. And then you get into the individual stage where it does become more about food. And that's about how much do we want them to have and win. So Sophie's reaction really speaks to taking a cross-section of people and putting them into this crazy game. Everybody has different wants, desires, cravings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk challenge. Jeff, when you say in the introduction of this challenge, and then you stack the cubes 20 high, I thought, oh yeah, that's cool. They'll stack these cubes 20 high. I had no idea the human pyramid and theatrics it was going to require. Jeff, talk to us about how a game like this is designed for the end game of a challenge.
Well, what you look for in an end game to any challenge is the opportunity for the tribe or tribes that are behind to catch up. That's what you're looking for, so that everybody feels incentivized to keep driving. So puzzles are obviously very good for that, and we use those a lot. Any challenge element that requires an entire tribe to think outside the box is good for that. And anything that might force a single player into a key role is good for that. So you're just looking for anything that stirs things up, causes a little bit of chaos, maybe incites some panic due to their nature, because as long as the player believes that they have a shot, then they'll keep driving. You saw it in the premiere episode with Rizzo and Alex, and we talked about it, and you saw that momentum shift. What you've seen in 49 seasons of Survivor, in most cases, you do have a shot to come back. I constantly say this would be an incredible comeback, and then it happens.
All the time.
I will say on this challenge in particular, it's nerve-wracking for me. It's nerve-wracking that somebody is going to trust tribe mates and get up on their shoulders, and now they're 15 feet in the air and they fall backwards.
It's understandable. All right, let's go back to the Hina Beach where they head to tribal council for the first time. And one thing we learn is that the beware advantage that Rizzo found over on Uli is still in play.
But currently, the man, the myth, the legend, R-I-Z-G-O-D Rizgod, baby, doesn't have a vote because I found the beware advantage back at Uli.
So back at Uli, we all did a group search and I found the beware advantage. So
I want to extend that olive branch.
Have you found the idol?
No, I have to lose first, which is now. No matter what camp I am at in this game, the same rules apply. Once I lose immunity, I gotta go to the well and find this thing.
Jeff, I hear the rules that Rizzo's explaining to us, but I need you to explain it to me again. The swap happens, the beware advantages stay active, and now the idol has moved.
All right, let me just explain overall how this beware advantage works, because beware advantages may change in the future. But right now, the reason it says beware is that it's dangerous. And the danger comes with the minute you pick it up. Traditionally, you lose your ability to vote at tribal council until you finish this problem, which is finding the idol.
Right.
So the additional layer to this beware advantage is you're not allowed to look for it until you lose a challenge. So now you finally lose a challenge, you come back to camp. You only have that time between getting back to camp and going to tribal to find this idol. Right now, you don't have a vote. You cannot vote. The good news is if you find the idol before you go to tribal, not only do you have an idol, you can also vote tonight. What happened in this case is the player, Rizzo, in charge of the beware advantage, he didn't lose. He didn't have to go to tribal, so he never had a chance to look for it. So in that case, we merely move it to the new beach, either due to a switch or a merge, and the same rules now apply. The same ticking clock will go into play the minute Rizzo loses. That's what happened in this episode.
Okay. The Survivor shoutout at CBS.com inbox is speaking to me.
Uh-oh.
And it's asking, what would have happened had there been two active beware advantages within this newly swapped tribe? Both would have migrated to this beach?
Yes. Yeah. Same rules apply. And that would have been really fun for our reality teams to track.
Wow.
All right, let's take one more quick break. When we come back, Jeremy, I have a question for you. Matt and Jason are in a tough spot. The numbers are against them. What would you do? And I want your analysis of what they did to try to flip those numbers. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On Fire. All right, Jay, where are we at?
All right, Hina's going to tribal council for the very first time. Matt and Jason are scrambling on how not to be on the bottom. We hear this from Matt.
But if you can make vodka out of a potato, I can make something out of this.
You're not wrong,
So
Matt.
good. That's so good.
Matt's plan is this big move. He approaches Juwan about writing down Nate's name. Jason's feeling different. He's telling folks, I'm playing my shot in the dark. I'm trying to stay safe. Neither of these plans seems effective when the rest of the tribe is revealed. Jeremy, when you're on the outs like this, when you're in a minority, in a swap, how could a great player get themselves out of trouble?
Yeah, this is always a tough situation, but the first thing you got to do is look for cracks. Like in tribes, there's always people fighting. There's always people that don't like each other, and there's always a hierarchy. You know, someone's on the top, someone's on the bottom. As someone coming in, you need to find those cracks and try to build a bond with the people that are on the bottom and see if you can move some things around and change the game up a little bit. That's the first thing you do. But the second thing is you want to show them that you're an asset to their alliance. Bring me in. I want to be a part of this. Like, I could help you guys out so much more further in the game. Don't worry about my game. I'm worried about your game. You know what I mean? And then, try to form bonds with them. And you have to do all this in like 8 to 10 hours, you know what I mean, before you go to tribal.
Right.
So it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of grinding, but it's doable and it's fun to try.
I do want to also just say, I think Sophie really lives up to that example here. She's also new to this group, and she's made herself indispensable quite quickly. All right, let's get to tribal council. Jeff asks a question of Juwan.
Juwan, what's it come down to for you? If you had to say it in a few words, I'm voting tonight based on...
That's a great question.
It's one you might have contemplated throughout the day, I'm hoping.
You spooked them, Jeff.
It's funny because people often ask me, how do you know what questions to ask? That was pretty straightforward question.
Yeah, this is it's a little funky. It's like we got a family and we have two friends that don't come over often, but they're trying to hang out with us. And it's weird because one of the friends keeps talking about their family. And we're like, well, bro, be in the present. Focus on what we have now.
That's why Juwan's on. That right there. I can picture him saying it. I can picture him rubbing his chin. He's got this great smile. He's thinking about his answer. Love it.
I feel like he was trying to do things that I do. You know, I try to like not give too much, and I don't want to give too much, but I want to give you just enough. And I feel like he was just stuck and didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to blow up Matt's spot. You know what I mean? So I feel like I get where he was at right there, you know?
And let me just say to future players, and Jeremy, you tell me if you agree or not. I'm very fair at Tribal, but the fair cuts both ways. If you can give me an answer that suffices and moves the story forward, great. If you try to give me one of these, I don't know, Jeff, it's just based on strategy, I can come back a little harder.
Yes.
I can be a little more penetrating with my questions. So we want to have a give and take. Let's play a little improv here, but just know, I'm listening. I'm always listening.
Yes. You 100%. You're fair on this, and you will give back. But like, if you don't get enough, you're coming at you. You know, it's true.
Well, Jeremy, what is that learning curve at Tribal Council like? You know, in terms of learning how to talk to Jeff, learning how to vote. Are you using your gut? Are you using your mind? Are you blacking out? What's happening?
So Sophie and Alex, they've been playing the game for a week now. When everybody else is just on an island, just hanging out. It's kumbaya. They're not going, They don't have to backstab anybody. So they're not really playing yet. And with Sophie and Alex, they have their sea legs. You know what I mean? They're rolling. Yeah. So when they go to Tribal, this is all old hat to them. We know how to play this game already. So going to the vote, I think it's both gut and your mind. You want to use your mind to calculate everything you learn from everyone over the last 2 hours, you know, leading up to Tribal. But your final decision, it's going to be your gut. With everything you add up, am I going to use my shot in the dark? Yeah. Am I going to use my idol? Am I going to use my idol to save somebody? So like, all this adds up to kind of like a 50-50 split between gut and mind.
And I feel compelled to remind the listener or the watcher of the show, they don't know what you know. The audience knows much more than the player. So you might think, why is Jeremy considering his shot in the dark? He doesn't need to use it. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know if he's the one being lied to by everybody. So you got to remember that when I ask who's nervous at Tribal and every hand goes up, that's not for show. No matter how certain you are.
Jeff, that's perfect, man. That's perfect, because I get that all the time. Like, people think, what were you doing out there? And I'm like, you guys don't know what we are seeing, what we're going through. You guys have the open book for the test. You know what I mean? We don't know anything.
The vote comes down to Jason versus Matt. Matt gets sent home. He does not make vodka out of the potato. Jeff, your thoughts on Matt as he leaves the island?
Yeah, okay. Matt is a great example because I'm sure people think, Jeff loves everybody. He always says, they were amazing. Here were my notes on Matt. When I first talked to him, he was guarded, super friendly, but guarded. Eventually, he started to warm up. I got the feeling that he does want to fit in. He's a likable guy. I wrote down he probably won't be a leader, even though he knows he could be, but he's probably going to take a role of fitting in, which is great. I knew he was good at camp. He had talked a lot about that. But my notes were, I'm on the fence. So for me, that meant I'm not there yet. In person, he did win me over. But even if he didn't, let's say I remained on the fence and I wasn't. I found my way into Matt and I got him. But the way casting works is, for the most part, it is a democracy. So I can be on the fence, but let's say Matt or Hudson or any of our co-EPs said, we love this person. We love them. We had such a great time talking to them. Fantastic. Put them on the show. And as we've talked about, if somebody on our casting team, even if none of the producers got this person, and somebody in our casting team said, Probst, fallen on the sword, that means that person's on the show, because our casting producers know these players better than anybody, and they've seen them and evaluated them for months. So we are a team that puts the group together. It's not just one or two decisions. Everybody has input.
All right, let's get to some fan questions. As a reminder, if you have a question for us, it's survivorshoutout@cbs.com. Let's get those questions in there. The first one comes from Emily. She writes, hey, J3.
J3.
I have a question about the photos you use of players in their real lives. Do you get these photos before contestants hit the sand because of the background checks? Or in post-production, does an editor email the contestants saying, quote, yo, I need 3 photos of you and your dad between the ages of 4 and 10, end quote.
That's a good question. Clearly a student of producing a TV show. It can be a bit of both, but typically we do secure them after we're done shooting. And it's almost always based on a specific story that the player told during the show. So the reason we don't decide ahead of time is we don't decide anything ahead of time. We don't even know what stories a player will choose to share during the game, like Jeremy with his wife being pregnant. So that's how that works. Legally, there is a process called clearing a photo for use, which just means you have to have the rights of everybody in the photo. You have to have the right to a logo or a painting. Like you have a photo of somebody and in the background is a painting. You can't just show that painting because it belongs to an artist and you have to have the rights to show that. So there's a lot that goes into it. But it's been a very fun part of the new era to really try at certain times to take the audience inside who a player is. And that often is helped by going back in their history and seeing them as a little kid with their dad or whatever it is, the story we're telling.
All right. The second question comes from Jess. They write, Jeff, I noticed a shot of you at a challenge sprinting into the jungle to catch the action. I noticed another shot where you're right up in the player space. How and when do you decide to be a part of the challenge?
I like this question, Jess, because we have started showing more of me in challenges. I mean, we've always shown it to some degree, but I'll tell you when it really started flipping for me. When we started putting more of these specialty cameras with these big, wide lenses. And so when you see a player hit the mud, it's so dramatic. And I started thinking, I want to be in that shot. I want to put my mug right in there, right next to them so that I can say from 2 feet away, if you want to dig deep, it would be a good time to start. And then I get the mud on my shirt and my face has mud on it because the whole goal is to bring the audience as much inside this as you can. It's an invigorating element that we've added to it, Jay, because as a filmmaker, all you're trying to do is tell the most dramatic story possible through the lens. And I think sometimes seeing the host in the clean shirt standing next to the player in the mud as they splatter you is a really great way to do that. And I love doing it.
Yeah.
Our last question comes from Jim. They write, I'm 65 and in excellent shape, and I think I can compete very well with the youngsters. However, with the popularity of The Golden Bachelor, I was wondering if there has been any consideration for Golden Survivor.
Yeah, I hear this idea from time to time. I've certainly heard it more since Bachelor did it. Here's the truth, as I see it. Based on the number of people, over, let's say, 50 who apply and who we believe are interesting and compelling enough to be on the show, and we believe can truly handle the intense physicality, I think if you just limited to 50 or over, casting would be difficult to do 2 times per year, 20 play. You're looking at 40 people. I just don't think it would work. Personally, I would miss the layers of complexity that come with somebody like Rizzo dealing with somebody like Nate. I think that's part of the fun. In the same way that I would miss it if one gender wasn't on the show and we just did all women or all men. I think it's that clash and the collaboration, the unexpected partnerships and learning about each other. That's a big part of our format. So, Jim, this is my way of saying, don't wait on Golden Survivor. Apply now to be on this Survivor.
That's right.
All right, that's it for this week's episode of On Fire. If you enjoy the podcast, we'd love it if you'd take a moment to rate and review the show on Spotify or Apple Podcast. It helps other fans find the show.
And if you're waiting for a printed invitation, it's not coming. But you could leave a review like the one from Samson 102. It says, my husband and I always struggle to find a podcast we love on road trips. This one is our go-to. It's so fun to listen to and chat about our theories on the show together.
That means it's working. That's what we're trying to do. All right, there's a brand new episode of Survivor every Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on CBS and Paramount Plus. And immediately following the episode, there's a new episode of this podcast called On Fire. We'll see you then. Follow and listen to On Fire on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.